soon I will be there to brighten up even your darkest night. You just call out my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running. Oh yeah, babe, to see you again. Winter, spring, summer, or fall, all you got to do is call, and I'll be there. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You got a friend. If the sky above you should turn dark and full of clouds, and that old north wind should begin to blow, keep your head together and call my name out loud now. Soon I'll be knocking upon your door. You just call up my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running. Oh yes, I will see you again. Winter, spring, summer, or fall, yeah. All you got to do is call, and I'll be there. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hey, ain't it good to know that you got a friend? People can be so cold.
It's not time to make a change. Just relax, take it easy. You're still young, that's your fault. There's so much you have to know. Find a girl, settle down. If you want, you can marry. Look at me.
Yes, sir.
So this is from a friend of the family. Lady Judy gave me this. She's front and back. They want you to read it. I don't know when, but
Esent diversmais, a pinball wizard's life, and kindness and poise, that rose above the noise, bringing calm to chaos. Okay, because the wife said that somebody about the speech that she wants to read it, that she will read
maybe
it.
the wife's gonna read it.
So maybe it is. I have to check. Yeah, so I'll check with her
Okay.
if this is a speech.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay. How long do we have here? Because it's a long speech.
We don't want to sleep here tonight.
To explain when I do,
1 hour and 5
he
minutes.
turns away.
1 hour, 5 minutes. That's such a
It's
good
always been the same,
No, if you need a little more time.
same old story.
Yeah. Thank you.
From the moment I could talk, I was ordered to listen. Now there's a way, and I know that I have to go away. I know I have to go. not time to make a change. Just sit down, take it slowly. You're still young, that's your fault. There's so much you have to go through. Find a girl, settle down. If you want, you can marry. Look at me, I am old, but I'm happy. All the times that I've cried, keeping all the things I knew inside. It's hard, but it's harder to ignore it. If they were right, I'd agree, but it's them they know, not me. Now there's a way, and I know that I have to go away. I know I have to go.
There is a young cowboy who lives on the range. His horse and his cattle are his only companions. He works in the saddle and he sleeps in the canyons, waiting for summer, his pastures to change. And as the moon rises, he sits by his fire, thinking about women and glasses of beer, closing his eyes as the dogies retire. He sings out a song which is soft but it's clear, as if maybe someone could hear. Good night, you moonlight ladies, rock-a-bye, sweet baby Jane. Deep greens and blues are the colors I choose. Won't you let me go down in my dreams and rock-a-bye, sweet baby James? Now the 1st of December was covered with snow. So was the turnpike from Stockbridge to Boston. Lord, the Berkshires seemed dreamlike on account of that frosting. With 10 miles behind me and 10,000 more to go. There's a song that they sing when they take to the highway, a song that they sing when they take to the sea, a song that they sing of their home in the sky. Maybe you can believe it if it helps you to sleep. The singing works just fine for me.
No, used to having to.
You see, you don't need this. Barry. Yeah. C'est la vie. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, if I could ask you to find your seats at this time so that we can begin the service. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here today to honor the memory and remember the life of David Joseph Peck. Our service today will be conducted by Cantor Michael LaPaz. Before we begin the service today, we request that you check your cell phones and any other electronic equipment to make sure they're either in the silenced or the off position for the remainder of the service. Thank you.
I'm down and oh my soul so weary. When trouble comes and my heart burdened be, then I'm still and wait here in the silence until you come and sit a while with me. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I'm strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. There is no life without its hunger. Each restless heart beats so imperfectly. But when you come and I'm filled with wonder, sometimes I think I glimpse eternity. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I'm strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. You raise me up to more than I can be. I'm Cantor Michael Lee Paz, and I cannot tell you how much I'm humbled and privileged and honored to be standing here today to help this beautiful family usher their loved one, David, to its resting place. I am a great believer of the preservation of the soul, and I'll try to philosophize about it a bit. I just spoke briefly with the family in the back room there, and I said that I'll elaborate on that subject of the preservation of the soul. The soul, which beats within us, in Jewish people call it the neshama in Hebrew, the soul. But that's energy within us that dwells with our body. And when that soul realizes that something happens to our body, whether old age, whether injury, and it cannot service us anymore, the soul leaves the body. Energy, this energy you can measure for the technicians here. If you take a voltmeter and you put between extremities and you see on the dial a little reading, like electricity. Energy never dissipates or goes away, as we learned in physics. Energy only changes forms. This neshama, this soul, is a special energy that was given to us by God, and it implants within us young and stays young. Only the body ages or decays. And when the energy leaves the body, what we're going to bury here today is not David Peck. David Peck, the essence of David, his neshama, his soul, lives and is with us here. What we bury is the body of that carried that soul. Think of it like a turtle has a house on his back all his life, and the house gets broken and he decides to leave the house, and he crawls from underneath and leaves the house behind. I want you to see it in your mind's eye, how the soul leaves the body. And this soul is an everlasting soul. We have a ritual that we do in Jewish funerals, which we call kriyah. Kriyah in Hebrew means tearing. And for the hearts that are torn, we perform this act of kriyah. Our ancient ancestors, at the grief They tore their clothes over their shoulders. They covered themselves with sacks out of grief. Our forefather Jacob, when he heard about his son that was attacked and killed by animals, if you remember the story of Joseph, in grief he tore, it says, its clothes over himself, covered himself with a sack and threw sand on him out of grief. Fortunately, Joseph didn't die, and they united later on, if you remember the story. But today, we do it a little more modern way. And the next to kin, they have a little ribbon on their lapel. And I'll ask them to take this ribbon with both hands underneath and just tear it up. Not all the way, it might separate. And I'll say on their behalf 2 blessings. Baruch atah Adonai dayan ha'emet, blessed are you, God, the judge of truth. And the second blessing, which I favor more, which we say, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hanotea betocheinu chayei olam. Blessed are you, O Lord our God, the ruler of the universe, who implants within us an everlasting life. And I want you to hang on to that phrase. Implants within us an everlasting life. Means the neshama, the soul that is implanted within us at birth and leaves when the time comes, it continues to live. Some people philosophize about it, that maybe there's a reincarnation, that it goes into new generations. And I learned and heard many testimonials about cases like this, of people who could feel when the soul leaves. And I believe that David is with us here, Gail. And he's hearing what we're saying. He's not lying in there, only his shell. The shell we bury. Him we keep in our hearts. We can connect with the soul. We can connect with David. Look at all of you. So many people came here. That's a great testament of what a great guy he was. And what I learned from Audrey when she sent me all the information about David, I regret that I didn't know him before. But I get to know him through these beautiful eyes, this beautiful family that became together like the Brady Bunch, right? But much bigger, augmented Brady Bunch. David and Gail's bunch. 10 children, 10 grandchildren. There's a story about 2 buddies who always were together. One was a quiet man, and he was always advising his other friend. His friend was always the yaker, the talker, asking him always questions, and he always answered. And he always talked, the friend, and he was always quiet. One day that quiet man fell gravely ill and rushed to the hospital and was lying on his deathbed. Of course, his buddy was next to him, sitting on the chair, holding his hand in his hand, and with tears in his eyes, continues to talk to him like he always talked. And then he says, "What will I do now when you go away?" So he answered, "Well, you'll remember places that we were together. You might find maybe a plaque on the ground that where my body was buried. And come there and we'll commune again. And then what?" And he says, "And talk to me." "And then what?" And he answered, "I'll continue to listen." We always can connect with our loved ones. David will never go away from you, Gail. He will keep you at day and keep you at night, and all his children. What a wonderful fellow he was, what I learned. I'll just speak about him a little just in generality, but to be, as he was called, like the patriarch of his family, it's kind of leading a brigade in war with all the children, and how helpful he was. I understood also that he always was giving advice to everybody. Was he the talkative one? He was. Yeah? And to see this family, I really feel very sorry to what happened. But we cannot judge. We say God judges. God gives and God takes away. There was a reason. We don't know. He lived 71 years. Fine. It's still young. But you know, think about it. What is young today? One day? 71 years? 100 years? Remember what I said before, the neshama, the soul, lives endlessly, right? Implants within us an everlasting life, infinity. So the soul is young and stays young, doesn't age, just the body. And that soul continues to live. And it doesn't matter how old we are when we pass away. It depends what we do in the years that we lived. Did Dave have a good sense of humor? He looks like, because I looked at his pictures and I could see, you know, he's a cheeky guy, as they say. So I'll share with you a story regarding what I'm trying to philosophize about. A rabbi comes to an assisted living home. And the old is that he wants to make them happy. So he's asked, anybody has a birthday today? Yeah, so Jack lifts his hand. He comes to Jack, you have a birthday today? How old are you today, Jack? He says, well, I'm 81. Oh, mazel tov, congratulations. Till 120. You have another 39 years. You know why I said till 120? Anybody knows that number? Does it ring a bell? No, so you came to the right class. Jews, when they celebrate birthdays, they say Mazel Tov till 120 because Moses, our leader, lived till 120. So it's a blessing. If I'm in good shape as I am now till 120, that's fine. But anyway, I continue. So the rabbi asked anybody else's birthday, and Mike this says, yeah, I'm a birthday today. How old are you, Mike? I'm 101. Mazel tov till 120, another 19 years. Anybody else? And in the back, on the wheelchair, Martha, on the wheelchair with a low voice, and she raises her hand. So he goes, Martha, you have a birthday today? Yeah, Rabbi. How old are you today, Martha? She says, Rabbi, today I'm 120. He looks at her and he says, have a nice day. You like it? Oh, good sweetheart. Have a nice day. But that's the message of the story. Every day is a birthday. Think about it. When we wake up in the morning, right, and God didn't keep us sleeping, right? It's a new day, a new birth. Jews say the blessings every morning. Modeh ani lefanecha melech chai vekayam, shechzarta b'nishmati b'chemla raba u'verachamim emunatecha. For those who speak Hebrew here, they would understand it. Thank you, my Lord, my God, who restored my soul in me with your mercy and compassion. I don't celebrate yearly birthdays. My kids celebrate my birthdays. I don't. I celebrate every day. Every day we have to have a nice day. Every day we have to do all the things that we like to do. Don't wait till for tomorrow. Don't forget to say I love you to your loved ones, because you never know what the next day brings, right? And think about it, if you live 71 years, like David did, or 120 years, or 1 second, to what I referred to before, Chaye Olam, it's nothing in comparison to eternity. There's no mathematical equation or number or expression of a speck of time. The soul lives forever. But if we do things that we like to do and have families united in love and compassion, this is the treasure. I found here a lovely poem that I'd like to share with you. Some of you might recognize it. It's called The Dash. It refers to, on a tombstone, the dates of birth and dates of passing away, and in between, it's not really a dash, but we put a menorah, you know, a candelabra or Star of David. But that's what it is. I read of a man who stood to speak at the funeral of a friend. He referred to the dates on his tombstone, from birth to his death. He noted that first came the date of his birth, and spoke of the following date with tears. But he said what mattered most of all was the dash between those years. For that dash represents all the time that he spent alive on earth. And now only those who loved him know what that little line is worth. For it mattered not how much he owned, the car, the boat, the house, the cash. What matters is how he lived and loved, and how he spent his dash. So think about it long and hard. Are there things you'd like to change? For you never know how much time is left. You could be at dash's mid-range. If you could just slow down enough to consider what's true and real, and always try to understand the way other people feel, and be less quick to anger and show appreciation more, and love the people in your life like you've never loved before. If we treat each other with respect, and more often wear a smile, remembering that this special dash might only last a little while. So when your eulogy is being read with your life's action to rehash, would you be proud of the things they say about you, how you spent your dash? And I think Dave spent his dash very richly.
שיביתי לאדוני לנגדי תמיד, כי מימיני בל אמות. לכן שמח ליבי ויגל כבודי, אף בשרי ישכון לבטח.
These ancient Hebrew words say, I have set the eternal always before me. God is at my side. I shall not be moved. Therefore does my heart exult and my soul rejoice. My being is secure, for you will not abandon me to death, nor let your faithful one see destruction. You show me the path of life. Your presence brings fullness of joy. Enduring happiness is your gift. At a time like this, we always share King David's lamentation, which is the 23rd Psalm. You have it also in the blue booklets, I believe, page 6 or 7. It's in English and in Hebrew. Let me just put the melody to the Hebrew words, and then we'll read that psalm together.
Adonai roi lo echsar, bine oz deshe yarbitzeni, al mei menuchot ינעלני. נפשי ישובב, ינחני במעגלי צדק, למען שמו במעגלי צדק. גם כי אלך בגיא צל מוות, לא אירא רע כי אתה עמדי. שבטך ומשענתך המה ינחמוני. תערוך לפניי שולחן נגד צורריי. דישנת בשמן ראשי כוסי רוויה. אך טוב החסד ירדפוני כל ימי חיי, ושבתי בבית אדוני לאורך ימים. אדוני רואי לא אחסר, Adonai roi lo echsar. Let's read the English of that psalm together. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. God, what are we that you have regard for us? What are we that you are mindful of us? We are like a breath. Our days are as passing shadow. We come and go like grass which in the morning shoots up, renewed, and in the evening fades and withers. Can there be a lament greater than for loss of loved one? In this sorrow greater than this, where is our consolation? Let our silence reach out to the bereaved, the wife, the children, the grandchildren, the friends. Let the tears fall on us. Let the anger break against us. Let our love and our deeds speak for us. In the presence of boundless grief, the poet said, Ein od tfilah bisfatai, which means there is no longer a prayer on my lip. Yet we must pray. Just we must weep because we can do no other. O God, be now with the stricken family of David Peck. Help them draw near to one another in their need for love and strength. Teach us to place our arms about them and to sorrow with them. Be with the mourners in their grief until hope breaks through like a bud in the dark corner of the earth. Yes, as I said before, and the prophet Job in his sorrow eons ago said, Adonai Natan, Adonai Lakach. Yeh Shem Adonai Mevorach. God has given, God has taken away. Be the name of God blessed forever. It's never the right time to lose a loved one. And especially when it comes in such a surprise. Nobody expected it. But we don't know the reasons. It's like a lightning in a bright day. If I may share with you, it happened to me too. The mother of my children, we were both hit by a car on a sidewalk when we were shopping, and I was a well-known opera singer with the New York Opera and many opera companies, and I was at the brink of international, and all of a sudden, boom, it's a shock. Left me with 3 little children. So I know how it feels. And I wrote on the plaque a quote from Ezekiel, Adonai Elohim Atah Yadata. Only you, God, know. Even though we bang and say, why? So I try to share with you all these thoughts, and just as an offer to bring solace to all of you, because I know how hard it is to lose a loved one. And it's not good to be in tears. We should have always tears of joy rather than tears of sadness. How about if I ask Harry, where's Harry? Would you come and share with us some intimate memories of your brother?
It's hard to take this off with my new hearing aids. Thank you all for being here in the tragic passing of my beloved brother David the day after his 71st birthday. David always liked to be casual and comfortable, so hence we are here casual to honor him. My brother David was taken from us way too early in a horrible accident that should have never happened. Everyone who knew David loved him. He was my soulmate. We were like one. Our father left us when David was 2 and I was 4. It's okay, I'll get through it. David and I grew up in Boyle Heights, surrounded by families and immigrants who were mostly touched by the Holocaust. We were close. We had to be for each other. We were nurtured with loving support from our relatives, the Hirsches, the Solomons, and the Grunfelds. Isabel, our first cousin, is like a sister to both of us. We both attended the same schools, the same cheder in the early days on Breed Street Shul for a short time. the same day camps. Whatever I did, he did. When our doctor told my mother David needed his tonsils out, he said, Harry too. And I had my tonsils out, even though I didn't need them. I remember the ice cream, because my mother always told us to be together. From the early days, when my mother went to work, David and I took care of each other. Our mother always said, take David. My name wasn't Harry, it was Harry David. I was the oldest and big brother who had to take care of things. I was the father figure. David looked up to me. We did everything together. During junior high and high school, we loved the same music. We had the same group of friends. My friends and his friends would get together regularly and play poker. David loved to gamble. I found out later that he and his best friend Larry, his best friend Larry, did school several times to go to the racetrack. I do not think we could have been closer. We were like twins. Our social security numbers and our phone numbers are 1 digit apart. Our desks at work are next to each other. Our cars are the same. We were a team. We relied on each other. We knew what the other was thinking and doing. We loved each other unconditionally. After I joined the Army, David followed me into the Army Reserves after I came home. My mother and sister would go to college. We both completed our degrees at California State University of Los Angeles. Our children, Marla and Robert, along with Jason, Jennifer, and Stephen, were very close growing up. Our mother could not be happier to have 5 grandchildren together with her, and she loved them dearly. David was a family man. He was a devoted father and loving husband to Sharon and then Gail. He loved family more than anything and embraced all his children and grandchildren. We went into business 49 years ago. From the beginning, we had the same goals and ethics of working hard so we can provide for our mother and our families. I know I will never get over the passing of my brother and best friend.
I see everybody out here, and my husband, David, loved you all. He was the kindest, warmest human being. He would do everything for anybody, anytime. The shirt off his back, needed something, a handshake. That's it. Run and do. I will miss him forever, but he's in my heart, and honey, you are loved. There's so many people here that loved you. I have a poem that I'm reading from a dear old friend of my husband's, and she couldn't be here due to illness, so she asked me if I would read it. So I'm going to try my best. David Peck, a true gentleman. A Zen teddy bear's smile, a pinball wizard style, a kindness and a pose that rose above the noise, bringing calm to chaos in any room he entered. His focus kept him centered, class and finesse, Hawaiian shirted elegance. Like the arcade master who always got the second play, he didn't need the upper hand to find the winning way. His quiet command, he was a true gentleman, a keen observer of life who listened first before speaking, a mediator who knew conflicts didn't end with truth-seeking. There were too many sides and too many hurts, too many impasses, too many words, so he'd find the space where the heart is most tender and try to broker a place where compassion could enter. And he believed that love would always find a middle ground, and if that didn't work, he'd find another way around. A sense of humor, subtle and ribald, a man of honor, integrity above all, a bearer of his history, courage, faith, and dignity, a son who rose from tragedy and made his love his legacy. His family and friends made him beyond rich, his children and grandchildren his most precious gifts. And his soulmate, me, set his soul a sail, and her heart is in his hands. She had found her gentle man. A Zen teddy bear smile, a pinball wizard style, a quiet kindness, a triumph boldness. He trusted his instincts and took a stand. He lived his love, a true gentleman. And it was signed for Gail and family, with love always, Karen Messman. And this is from someone that goes way back to his childhood of when he was at Camp Max Strauss and that whole family of Camp Max Strauss. So Judy Hall's sister, her family, and all the other counselors and everything when he went to Camp Max Strauss as a child and then became a counselor. So to everybody, thank you. I will miss him terribly, but he's in my heart.
Older. you all for coming. My dad loved giving speeches. He loved putting words together, the soaring rhetoric, the effective dramatic pause, the cleverly placed laugh line, and the anecdote or story that could bring a crowd to laughter or tears. And when I think on it, a big part of my own personal love for theater really came from these moments where I saw my dad captivate a room. And while my dad thought it was all the wonderful literary and theatrical devices and prose he used that made his speeches sing, it was really something else. His utmost and earnest pride he felt towards whoever he was speechifying to. And that was my dad. Somebody who was always in your corner, somebody who wanted your success and rooted for you every step of the way, always looking to celebrate the small achievements. Someone who was always liberal with the "I'm proud of yous" and who meant it each and every time. A few years back, my dad and Gail came to Florida to see me in a production that I was in, and I was feeling really good about the evening's performance, and I told a friend who was also in the audience that I thought it was a good show, and then they turned to me and they said, "Which one?" And I had a confused look on my face, and I said, "I don't know what you mean." They said, "Well, I don't know which one was better, the show or watching your dad watching you." Every laugh you got, every dramatic pause you earned, your dad was beaming, and you could tell he was so proud of you. Yesterday I was watching my old bar mitzvah video, and I must have watched my dad's speech to me 5 times, and he closed with, "You're just beginning to blaze your trail, and your future contributions will only be measured by your conscience. I love you, and I am proud of you. And more than anything I've ever achieved here on earth, awards, money, accolades, articles, it all paled to the only thing that truly mattered, my dad being proud of me." He was the epitome of a proud dad and a proud papa. Every time he would talk on the phone, he would beam with info on what Jennifer was doing, what Stephen was up to, what Audrey had done, what David was involved with, and all the respective add-ons. And his grandkids, oh my gosh, this guy loved his grandkids. Every time he'd see my kids or FaceTime with my kids, it'd always start the same way. "Is that my beautiful granddaughter? Is that my handsome grandson?" He was a master of the nosy. A loving gesture like an Eskimo would rub noses with someone. And despite this game with his grandkids where he would say, "I don't want a nosy. I said I don't want a nosy," they'd always laugh back and give one. And when they gave it to him, he'd always say, "I told you I didn't want a nosy." And they'd laugh. And seeing his grandkids laugh was the pinnacle of his pride. My dad always had amazing get up and go. He never ran out of energy to take us on a bike ride to the candy store, march his grandkids to the ice cream store, push them on the swings, or take them to museum. And when we were all out to dinner, maybe some of us still in conversation, he'd sometimes rise and we all would say, "Well, he's up, he's up." And this was a cue that dinner was done, and then he'd be on to the next thing he had planned, and 99% of that time, that thing planned involved something around us. And he loved to vacation. Gail and my dad would always be traveling the world and would always come back with pictures of new friends and amazing adventures. This has been such a hard few days, but amidst all the sorrow and pain has been the stories that so many had shared. The ping pong contests, the workout sessions, the trips to the movies with the smuggled contraband of candy and popcorn for everyone, the trips to the Dodger game, the fishing trips. No parasailing vision and zip lining vision was too high, and no scuba diving vision was too low for my dad. He always was about creating memories for everyone. Things for us to revel in and share until the next big adventure that was just around the bend. And even maybe when you didn't want to go on the trip, like when he had a planned a snorkeling adventure in Martinique and I was a still sloppy, slee-stack mess, the next morning he took one look at me and said, "You're going." And it's only because we were all going, and it was an adventure he didn't want me to miss. I couldn't miss it because it was going to be the best. So many people have shared wonderful words about my dad, and I know everyone would have some stories. Audrey and Stephen wrote something they wanted me to share for you. So this is from Audrey. "David always had the heart of gold and wanted the best for me, Evan, and the kids. He loved us, comforted us, lectured us a lot, fed us a lot. He guided us, mentored us, encouraged us. Mediocrity was not an option. He made that very clear. He was our biggest cheerleader. He never let up when he believed in something. For example, even last week he said, Audrey, when are you and you guys going to get out of Studio City? It's too congested here and move to Calabasas." He's saying the same thing to us for the last 20 years. He recently taught Jackson to drive and badgered Max daily for not driving yet. He was so worried about Evan and so helpful with all the business and life advice. All of our amazing dinners and memories we will cherish forever. Thank you, Audrey, for those beautiful words. And from Stephen, "For me to give a speech is too hard. I physically will not be able to put myself together to say words without having a breakdown. He was the most loving, caring father anybody could ask for. Dad only cared about making sure everyone was happy and taken care of. He was so proud of all of his kids and grandkids. He truly was my corner of my entire life. There's so many memories growing up, cruises, the trips to Oregon and Idaho fishing, too many lists. When I was young, going every weekend, working out with Jennifer and Jason to work out with him, or going to the Mid-Valley. After work, Griffith Park, or going to the movies. I remember going to the movies, even though a lot of the movies we probably shouldn't have seen being so young. He used to stuff me with so much candy and soda. He did the same thing with Callie and Tyler. He was like his mother, Mama, used to do that with us. He was just like her, the best parent or grandparent somebody could have. He was very present in my life, phone calls every day just to check up. It was so important for him to speak to me. We spoke every day almost. He made it to every one of mine and my kids' birthdays, baseball games, every school function. He truly was an amazing dad and grandfather. About 17 years ago, he brought me into the work of the family business. We had our differences at work, and times every family business has. He was a very tough businessman, but he brought me into it to learn from that. And when I first started working there, I did not even know if it would work out, but working with family every day. But 17 years later, I can say it truly was a gift to see him and work with him every day. I miss him so much. Thank you for your words, Stephen. If you look at all these photos, you'll see the joy of the photos when we all came in, the joy that my dad exuded. But it's really not possible to distill the power and presence of my dad in a few poster boards. I know that all of his kids and grandkids will continue his legacy and his primal wish that he'd so often say, "I just want everyone happy." My dad liked seeing people eat, drink, and be merry. He wanted people to be together in the same place, enjoying each other. He loved being the catalyst for that and was always looking forward to the next family trip or that next special time where we could all bond. Today, we all bond with you, Dad, and we offer you a huge nosy to the heavens. I love you forever.
Hi, everyone. I'm going to do my best. I got Colby and Joel here if I need them to take over. But take a deep breath and say thank you for all being here for my dad. Sorry, I have to read this from my phone. Okay. My dear, sweet Matt. That was my nickname for him. I'm still in such disbelief I'm writing this. Honestly, I have so many things to say, but I don't even know if I will speak them without completely breaking up or breaking down. The teacher in me wants to have this to flow nicely, and I want to make sure I say everything I need to say. But I can't summarize the world's greatest dad and papa in one speech. As I sit down to write this, I think back to all the wonderful memories I will forever cherish. You and I had such a special bond. You were honestly the best dad a girl could ask for. You helped shape the person I am today, and I'm so grateful for the time I had with you. I want you to know how much I felt your love for me and our family. My happiness was always your happiness. You taught me so many life lessons. I loved all our deep talks sitting at the kitchen table or on my way to work. You were always mentoring, cheering, encouraging, and rooting for everyone. I always knew you were in my corner. There were so many things to love about you. I loved how much you loved and cared for all my friends, and you knew every single one of their nicknames. You loved them like they were your family. I love how much you loved Joel and treated him like a son and always would tell me what a gem he was. You were such a great papa to Colby and to all the grandchildren. You see, you did that for everyone. You had a special gift of making everyone feel so loved and happy. I can't tell you how many people have reached out to me telling me that the impact you have had on their lives and how much they loved you. There were so many memories to write down. There are too many to write down in a speech, but here are a few that come to mind when I think of you. Bike rides to the candy store, going to your arcade on the weekends, going to Mid-Valley and teaching us to step and swing while learning to play racquetball, teaching me to ride a bike even though I crashed into the mailbox, teaching me to drive, having our nicknames and abbreviations for things, hearing you cheer me in the stands of the football games at Calabasas High, breaking down the door at Aaron's house because we were throwing our party at our parents without them knowing, taking us to the movies and passing loads of candy and soda while we watched, always being the cameraman when Jason wanted us to star in his home movies like The Invasion of the Disco Martians, taking us to amusement parks, planning cruises and fun vacations. I love how you had such a way with words, and you could do math problems in your head like no other, which is a skill I did not inherit. However, one skill that will be the most remembered was how important family and friends are and to love people 110%. I am making a promise to you because I know what you would say looking down on me. I will keep all the fun family traditions going. I will make sure we all still get together and love each other fully. I will make sure Gail, Mom, Jason, Stephen, David, and Audrey, and the grandkids and everyone celebrate all the great things in life together. I know how important our family was to you, and I promise to carry that on no matter what. Having you not being here is going to be so hard. I will always carry you close to my heart. I will feel your warm smile, your laugh, and whenever I need advice, I will carry your wisdom for the rest of my life. I want to end this with a quote by Maya Angelou. I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. That was you, Matt. You made everyone feel loved. I will miss you very much. Thank you for being here.
Hi, everyone. Charlie and I are going to speak sort of on behalf of the grandkids. I can't believe that he's gone. Papa David was the nicest, funniest, and most loving person you could ever meet. I had such a close relationship with him. I spent my whole life visiting Nana and Papa practically every other week. He would always take all of the grandkids out to do fun things, whether it was going to the gym to play racquetball with him, going up to the park by their house, or going to his arcade. It was always so much fun. As I got older and started going to Calabasas High, I started to spend even more time with Nana and Papa. Papa and I grew a very strong bond together, and a lot of that came from our love for food. Every time that Papa would pick me up from school, we would get home and I would sit down at the kitchen table, and Papa would go right to the fridge and bring about 7 to 8 items out, place them on the table, we'd both start eating, and then Nana would come in. David, we have dinner reservations in 30 minutes. And Papa would say, Gail, he'll eat again. And I did. he really loved taking us out to eat. And luckily, my younger brother Jackson and I were able to have one last dinner with him last week, and with him and Nana, to celebrate his and Jackson's birthday. And he gave us these shirts that time, so I'll always have that. They're the Family Amusement Arcade shirts. He was giving that whole dinner. He basically spent the whole time. We always told jokes and stories, and he would fill us in on how all the other grandkids were doing. And then he spent the rest of the dinner giving Jackson and I advice on what we were going to do with our careers. And he was telling Jackson to look for a job, and he was telling me to take every opportunity that I got, to walk through any open door, and to follow through with every connection that I had. He was so proud of me and so excited for what I was going to do in my future, and I'm so grateful to have that last memory with him. Family meant everything to Papa, and to the other grandkids, my cousins. He loved all of you so much. He would always be filling us in on what you guys were doing and showing us pictures. And I think that it's super important, like Aunt Jen said, for us to continue all with our fun family traditions now more than ever. He definitely would want it, and he will be the most with us when we're all together. I know he's looking down on all of us and excited to see what we'll all do as we get older. I love him, and I'll miss him forever.
Papa was one of the best grandparents that I could have ever asked for. He was always involved in my life, from when I was born to when I moved to Orange County, from when I went to Boulder for college life. He always had a great sense of humor and would always make us laugh. Every time that we would eat out, he would eat steak, fish, or salad, and I would only ever eat grilled cheese. When we were done eating, he would always ask me how good the grilled cheese was on my grilled cheese scale. And then whenever the waiter or waitress would come back, he would ask for another one for me. And then Nana would always say, "David, we still have dessert coming." And Papa would always say, "Gail, he wants another grilled cheese, so I'm ordering him another grilled cheese." We were always spoiled with love by Papa. Every time we went to the arcade when we were younger, we would never actually win any toys from the claw machine, except sometimes. But he would open the machine and give them to us anyway. Papa loved his family more than anybody on the planet. Even when I moved to Colorado, he was talking to me every day, and he would always ask if I was enjoying it, and then he would ask if I met any cute girls. In my last conversation with him, I was wishing him a happy birthday, and I was telling Nana and Papa to come and visit me in Colorado, and I said that it might be cold and they should bring warm clothes. Papa said he didn't own any cold clothes because he ran high. But his last words were, "I love you, Charlie," and I am so grateful for that. Everyone here today is here because they loved him to pieces, and he loved all of us too. I know that he is still there and will watch us all grow from his recliner up above. A family man and the coolest Papa his grandparents could ever ask for. David Peck.
Because of limited time that we have in this hall, we'll continue the stories at the gravesite, if you don't mind. Okay? You want to do it here? Come, quickly.
This really sucks. My name is Mark Smith, and I'm David's friend and de facto Peck brother. David is also the only person for whom I would wear a Hawaiian shirt. I think we've all had the same reaction, and that is, how could there possibly be a world without David Peck? We all feel that we can pick up a phone and talk to him. We feel he's going to walk into a room, walk through a door, and we'll see him. David was a thoroughbred. He was a foundation. He was the go-to person. He was the person that you would want in a foxhole. He was a very good, decent, and principled man. He was a once-in-a-lifetime person. And when I got the news, the first thing I thought about is how I met him. And I realized that I've had a love affair with David from the first day we met. It was love at first sight. It was a Saturday afternoon in 1985, and I was playing racquetball. And there was an empty court, and David and I were just standing around, and I had never met him before. I said, "You want to play?" And he did. We played for about an hour, and after we played, we sat on a bench outside the court for about 2 hours. And we talked about our families, about what we did, what we were hoping for, and there was an immediate connection. And that same night, our families, our wives, we went out to dinner. That's how quickly the relationship happened, and that's something to be said about David. A week later, we went out with David again, but this time Cookie and Harry came as well. He wanted us to meet his brother and sister, and we met them. And what I just remember about David from that is that I sensed his love of family and his great work ethic. The week after we had dinner, so now it's 3 weeks in a row, we went to Harry and Cookie's home in Northridge, and we had a family barbecue. And all the kids got together, and that was the beginning of the new family, the concrete family. And while we don't see each other all the time, we always know we're there for each other. And David was obsessed with his children, Jason, Jennifer, and Stephen. Those were his priority. And after David met Gail, her children, David Pine and Audrey, fit right in. There were vacations, weddings, bar mitzvahs, dinners at restaurants, and of course the famous Breaking the Fast dinner. David was always the centerpiece. David always inquired of me about how my mother was doing, how my sister was doing. He always had the thought about helping somebody else. And back in 1989, I was diagnosed with leukemia, and he just helped the way you would expect David to help. And I remember there was one thing he said to me. He said, you know, because we always took jacuzzis in the gym, and he said, I can't go into the jacuzzi. I cannot go because every time I go in, I think about you. And I also think how Harry, David, they came to drives, and they helped out with other people, and they just did whatever they had to do. And navigating through life is not easy. David and I also were there for each other during difficult and disappointing times, during the journey that we all have through life. But that's what true friends do. Gail, you fit right in when we first met. Gail was the perfect complement for David. Gail and David were a team, yin and yang. They were interconnected. In fact, I think there should be a trademark, Gail and David. But Gail, you were the love of David's life. Harry, what you said about your brother, I was going to say, but you've already said it. But you were a team throughout, whether it's personal or in business. You persevered together through some very difficult times. I know that. And they're very challenging, but you did it. And I look forward to every holiday to the Harry and David gift that you would send. And I remember when I first received it, the first thought I said was, wow, they went into another business. It's often said that the saddest words of tongue or pen are these: it might have been. David had so much more of life to give and enjoy. But a rabbi once said to me, and I think the rabbi here made a comment somewhat similar about that, is that when a devastating act happens, we aren't capable of understanding why, like the Holocaust or some other tragic event. And this was a tragic event. And I said, how could there be a God that allows this to happen? And he said, well, we aren't on God's level, so we can't understand it. But there is a reason. Somewhere there's a reason. We just aren't capable as human beings to understand it. This has to come from someone who's on God's level, and there isn't anybody on God's level. There's an old Hebrew proverb that says, say not in grief that he is no more, but live in thankfulness that he was. David, I love you. We all love you. Keep whistling. And rest in peace. Thank you.
Does anyone remember the Hebrew name of David's dad? Yeah, your grandpa. Your father. Okay. Because I'll ask you to please to rise for the El Maleh Rachamim, and I'll insert his name as Ben Avraham, the son of Abraham, which we all are. El Maleh Rachamim, שוכן במרומים, אמצא מנוחה נכונה, תחת כנפי השכינה, עם קדושים וטהורים, כזוהר הרקיע מזהירים, את נשמת דוד יוסף בן אברהם, שהלך לעולמו, בעל הרחמים, יסתירהו בסתר כנפיו לעולמים, ויצרור בצרור החיים את נשמתו. אדוני הוא נחלתו, וינוח בשלום על משכבו, ונאמר Amen. Compassionate God, eternal Spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence to David Joseph, the son of Abraham, David Peck, who has entered eternity. O God of mercy, let him find refuge in your eternal presence, in the shadow of your wings, and let his soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. God is his inheritance. May he rest in peace. And let us say, Amen. Please be seated. Rick.
Ladies and gentlemen, in just a few moments, we'll be leaving the chapel and proceeding to the interment site. We will be exiting the chapel through the doors to my left, to your right. Due to the close proximity to the interment site, we're going to conduct a walking procession. So please allow the casket bearers and the family to proceed first and then follow in behind. Because the service is still in progress, please refrain from approaching the family until after the service is completed at the graveside. The following people have been asked to serve as casket bearers: Harry, Stephen, Jason, Robert, Joel, Evan Wright, David Pine, and Mark Smith. Will the casket bearers please come forward at this time?
It's not time to make a change. Just relax, take it easy. You're still young, that's your fault. There's so much you have to know. Find a girl, settle down. If you want, you can marry. Look at me, I am old, but I'm happy. I was once like you are now, and I know that it's not easy to be calm when you found something going on. But take your time, think a lot. Why think of everything you've got, or you will still be here tomorrow, but your dreams may not. How can I try to explain? 'Cause when I do, he turns away again. It's always been the same old story. From the moment I could talk, I was ordered to listen. Now there's a way, and I know that I have to go away. I know I have to go. It's not time to make a change. Just sit down, take it slowly. You're still young, that's your fault. There's so much you have to go through. Find a girl, settle down. If you want, you can marry. Look at me, I am old, but I'm happy. All the times that I've cried, keeping all the things I knew inside. It's hard, but it's harder to ignore it. If they were right, I'd agree, but it's them they know, not me. Now there's a way, and go.